Hey yo everyone! Just this week, the Game Awards announced all of the nominations for their annual award show. Today, I mainly want to talk about just the Game of the Year category. As I was looking at the nominations, I couldn't help but feel like there were some games that should have been mentioned, or at least nominated for some other award. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how freaking stacked this year has been for game releases. 2023 has spoiled us gamers, and we have been feasting. So today, let's briefly talk about the 6 nominees and then a few other games that could have, or maybe should have, been nominated. Alright, let's get it. Okay, so let's talk about these Game of the Year nominees. The 6 games nominated for Game of the Year are Alan Wake 2, Baldur's Gate 3, Spider-Man 2, Resident Evil 4, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Couple of things to note right off the bat. Resident Evil 4 is a remake, and the rest of these games are all sequels. I don't have any problems with sequels being nominated, of course, I just think it's an interesting statistic. Any thoughts on this? I mean, none of these sequels feel forced in any way, so, it's fine. I was just kind of surprised we didn't see any new or original IPs squeak in here for Game of the Year. The other thing, Resident Evil 4 being a remake, I thought about it, and I'm actually going to make a separate video on this explaining why I don't really think that Resident Evil 4 should be eligible for Game of the Year. I'm not taking anything away from it, it's a great game, yeah, but in a year so stacked with new titles that have new stories and innovative gameplay, it feels kind of like a slap in the face to nominate a remake over them, regardless of how incredible that remake is. Anyway, let's talk about these snubs. At number 5, I got Hi-Fi Rush. It is mind-blowing to me that Hi-Fi Rush wasn't nominated for Game of the Year. It came out early 2023 and launched on Game Pass as a shadow drop with basically no marketing campaign, but the word of mouth for this game has been amazing. Normally, I'm not into rhythm-based gameplay, but Hi-Fi Rush won me over. The cel-shaded, cartoonish graphics fit the vibe so well, and the gameplay, despite it not really being my jam, pun intended, is really fun to pull off. Plus, the acting, the narrative, and the jokes are all fantastic. This is a game that just emits pure joy, and in my opinion, should have at least been nominated for Game of the Year. It's short and simple, yet challenging. It's fun, and it has a great story. With how fast the game industry is changing, I feel like we sometimes lose sight of small things like this, the things that made us love video games in the first place. Anyway, I'm pretty sad that this game got snubbed. Probably the one I'm most bummed out about. The next game that I'm probably most bummed about is Star Wars Jedi Survivor. Damn, I freaking love this game, dude. An honest to goodness canon Star Wars story. And the gameplay was also great. It didn't reinvent the wheel by any means, but it felt like the natural progression for this series, and I think any other year it would have been nominated for Game of the Year. The only thing I could think of that could be holding it back was the performance issues it had at launch. If that truly is the reason as to why it wasn't nominated, then good. We can't be awarding shitty launches. Release finished games, and then you can get nominated for all the accolades in the world. At least, that's how I think it should be. Overall though, I think this is an amazing game, and definitely one of my favorites from the year. Feels like the devs had a lot of passion for this one. It's nice seeing that Cameron Monaghan was at least nominated for Best Performance though. That dude is awesome, and I hope to see him play in this role for years to come. Moving on to number 3, speaking of devs with the passion, holy moly, Hogwarts Legacy wasn't nominated for a single award this year. I don't think this game is worthy of being Game of the Year or anything, but it definitely deserves some sort of recognition. This is by far and away the best Harry Potter game we have ever gotten. The story is fairly simple, dialogue can be a bit repetitive, and the gameplay isn't too crazy, but I thought everything else about it was really enjoyable. If you're a Harry Potter fan, this game is almost perfect for Hogwarts immersion. You can pick your own house, make a few story choices here and there, go to class, design your character, your wand, and even the spells you use. I mean, there is a lot of creative freedom given to the player in this game. the fact that it wasn't even nominated for Best RPG is honestly kind of messed up. The biggest thing that stuck out to me when I was playing this game though is that it actually felt like a labor of love. Like, you can feel the devs' love and passion for this universe way more than any other game I've experienced in a while. There are a ton of tiny details that are completely unnecessary, but the fact that they are included just add into the immersiveness even more. I don't know, I don't want to get too worked up about it, but damn, this exclusion definitely feels like a punch to the gut. At number 2, this next one is a bit of a shocker also. For the first time in what feels like forever, a new Final Fantasy game wasn't nominated for Game of the Year. This one really surprised me. Personally, it's not my Game of the Year, but I know a lot of people absolutely adored this entry. Yeah, it's a bit of a diversion from your typical Final Fantasy gameplay, but can you really blame Final Fantasy XVI for trying to shake things up a bit? I mean, I don't know. It's weird because this is like a prestigious franchise, and to see it barely get any nods at the Game Awards is kind of surprising. Like, it's not like the game is bad or anything. Maybe it's because like 80% of the experience is just cutscenes, or maybe people just truly didn't believe that it was on the same tier as the other Game of the Year nominees. Either way, I thought for sure this one was going to get a nomination. I guess it just goes to show how competitive the gaming industry is these days, which is a good thing for us consumers, for sure. Finally, at number 1, the last game I wanted to talk about, Starfield. For all of the hype this game garnered and the push of it being a game like 25 years in the making or whatever, it's pretty astonishing that Starfield wasn't nominated for Game of the Year. I personally really liked it, I think more than others, but I completely understand why some people might not have. I thought the story was fun, the big locations were pretty interesting, and I really enjoyed the side quests. That being said, for a game with all of this hype and grandeur, it kind of fell short. The procedurally generated universe got pretty bland pretty fast, and at times it just kind of, I don't know, I can't really explain it, but after finishing it, I have no desire to go back and play it again. I know there's quite a bit of stuff to do in that game, and I definitely have storylines and other things that I haven't finished, but I just don't really have any interest to go back, and I'm not sure why. I really don't know. Starfield did end up getting a few other nominations besides Game of the Year, but this has got a sting. If Starfield really is supposed to be the pinnacle of Bethesda Studios RPGs, then not even getting nominated for Game of the Year has gotta feel like a kick in the balls. Like I said, I enjoyed it, but in 2023, when video games are better than they've ever been before, you have to really push the envelope to get recognized as being one of the best of the year. I hope this is a wake-up call to Todd Howard and Bethesda that they can't just rely on their legacy alone anymore. You know, like, you can't just say a Bethesda Studios RPG is a surefire Game of the Year contender. They're gonna have to innovate and really push the industry standards forward like they used to if they want to be considered for these prestigious accolades at the end of the year. Hopefully Elder Scrolls 6 is like a revenge tour and Todd Howard and Bethesda ball out by making one of the best games we've ever seen. I mean, who knows? Maybe this snub will just add fuel to the fire. But I want to know what you guys think. What game do you think was the biggest snub from this year's Game Awards? What games are you surprised didn't get that many mentions, or maybe not even a mention at all? Here's a quick fire list of a few games that I thought would have had more recognition at the Game Awards. Octopath Traveler 2, Atomic Heart, Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Lies of P, Minecraft Legends, Dead Island 2, Street Fighter 6, Mortal Kombat 1, Diablo 4, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Assassin's Creed Mirage, and RoboCop Rogue City. All of these are great games. Not saying any of these are Game of the Year contenders, but some of these weren't nominated for anything, which just goes to show how freaking lucky we were as gamers this year. Anyway, let me know in the comments what game was the biggest snub. What was your favorite game of the year? Who do you think is going to win the 2023 Game of the Year? If you made it this far, thank you for watching. I appreciate you guys as always, and I will catch you on the next one.